Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, thank you for joining us. We understand you are not in a jurisdiction. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard, and to your colleagues in the studio.
Wonderful. So, you issued a statement over the weekend over what happened at UTV. Do you wish to say anything beyond the statement you issued, or should we say that the statement represents the view of government still as of now?
So, maybe just a few comments. Unfortunately, this is not the first time an incident of this nature has occurred. In January 2022, some persons were reported to have attacked Radio Adana because they were not happy with what was being discussed. We called the police command. We spoke to the journalists. We issued a statement. In May 2022, again, we received reports that some persons had attacked Radio Benya because they were also not, happy with what was being discussed. We spoke to the police command to investigate. We spoke to the journalist. We issued a statement of condemnation. In May 2023, we received reports again of, this time it was a report of an attack on a journalist in a studio at Dagbon FM. We spoke to the police, we spoke to the journalist, we issued a statement of condemnation. About 3 months ago, I invited the police CID to come and give us a report of all the cases that we have brought to their attention. They reverted to us about 2 weeks ago that they were almost done with a compilation of the status of all of these cases and that they will come forward to give us an update on it. And then on Saturday, our media monitoring center gave us an alert that we were receiving reports of what they described as alleged unauthorized entry into UTV studios. I called the station, I called Father Dixon, couldn't get him. I called Kwame Sifakane directly and asked them that they should report to the police immediately. And then I personally called the IGP that though I was out of the jurisdiction, I wanted arrests made and the persons prosecuted. I think the police in their statement right after that even referred to it. And then subsequent to that, we issued a statement condemning what had transpired. I think the position of government is quite clear on this matter. This is something that we do not take lightly. We think that the necessary investigations and prosecutions of the persons responsible is one of the best forms of deterrent for acts of this nature.
Great. Thanks for the background. The challenge the GJA and many have with the latest statement you issued is twofold. That you describe what happened as an alleged unauthorized entry, which some have a problem with, because if you 30 people enter a station for whilst a TV program is going on, which was captured on camera, that cannot be alleged and that cannot be authorized entry. So the first concern is you couch the conduct of the hooligans in an expression which leaves room for some wriggle room. That's the way it's seen. Alleged unauthorized entry. What does that mean? They stormed the studio. They invaded the place. And they basically went to cause confusion. And they asked people, they wanted to first put their own panelists on. They were asking for some panelists. They wanted to. It was just crazy. So what do you mean by alleged unauthorized entry?
So, Bernard, let me take you to all the three statements we've issued even before this particular one. We, as the Ministry of Information, never go out to describe in any particular set of words what has happened. We tell the public the report we have received. So let me take you back and give you the evidence. When in May 2022, we issued a statement on Radio Benya. I want to read you the first paragraph of the statement. We said, we note with concern the report of an attack on the station. Let me give you the example of, because what we had received was reports of an attack. Then in January 2022, when we issued a statement on Radio Adana, we said the Minister of Information notes with alarm reports of an attack on the station. Those were the reports we had received. In May 2023, when we issued the statement, I think about Dagbon FM, we said we note with concern this time there was reports of an assault. In this particular instance, we did not describe it as alleged something. We said we have received reports at our media monitoring center that some persons had entered the studios allegedly without authorization. That's the report that we have received. And every time we issue a statement, we talk about the report we have received. When we received this report, that was when we then asked for validation, and then we called the police to go and investigate what has happened. In all the incidents that happened, when we receive a report, we tell the public the kind of report we have received. We call the police directly and tell them that this is the report we have received. Go in and investigate. Mm-hmm. And then we also, like I mentioned to you about 3 months ago, invite the police to come and give us an update of the investigation following the report that we got and we brought to your attention. I believe that the view that we have described it differently is not correct. We have consistently told the public the kind of report we receive. Number two, I noticed, and I believe you are referring to the GJA statement, I noticed that the GJA statement suggests that we have been uneven-handed in dealing with the situation, because in some instances we call the station and the presenters to offer support, but in this one we didn't do it. That's why I regret that whoever issued the statement did not even bother to maybe give us a call or confer with us what has transpired. In fact, when I saw it, I actually thought it was a fake statement. So I sent it to the GJA president himself. He has not replied me even as of now.
Yeah, but Kojo, fair enough. The journalist in question, of course, UTV studio had a whole show going on, but the person they were looking for is A+, because he was the person who they were asking to be removed from the program. So the question would be, if you use the track record of all the things you've done, of course, we are not saying he was attacked physically, but in consistency with the 4 things you've told me, then it suggests that you would have called him, because he's the person who they were looking for.
Exactly. So now let me answer you. When we received the report, I told you the report we received. We received reports of alleged unauthorized entry. I first called the station manager, which is what we always do, this time Father Dixon. When I couldn't reach him, I called Sefakai directly. You may call Sefakai, who attest to it. And I called the host of the program, Ms. G. In fact, she herself, on her show with her panelists there after my call, this is before they went on air, acknowledged that I had personally called to speak to them to find out whether anybody had been hurt or had been injured. So just to end on your point, the GJA did not have this fact. They did not bother to check this fact with anybody. That's why I was a bit surprised when I saw this. So I forwarded it to them. If I may land, if I may land. So that's why I forwarded it to them to find out whether they really wrote this, because what they've written is at variance with the fact.
Fair enough. I think that the upshot of what GJ is saying is twofold. If you look at the statement, and sorry we are belaboring this point, if you look at the statement on the UTV, the word alleged is used, all right? But if you look at the statement on Dagbon FM, the word alleged is absent. So in the Dagbon statement, which I have in front of me, the Ministry of Information has noted with concern reports of assault on a journalist at Dagbon FM in Tamale. The ministry condemns the act and urges the Ghana Police Service and relevant agencies to investigate and prosecute perpetrators. Attacks on journalists should not be countenanced. Severe and speedy response from the law enforcement agencies is necessary to prevent copycat acts and maintain Ghana's status in upholding press freedom. Then they end by saying what you did by calling the person. In the case of this particular one, the way you say it, for example, you say the ministry wishes to encourage the media, especially broadcast media, show hosts, and other panelists to do their utmost to help promote national cohesion as they exercise their fundamental freedom. These guys have just been invaded by hooligans. So if the Minister of Information is going to issue a statement primarily on the matter, the weight of responsibility should not be on the media. The weight should be on the guys. Should be on the guys who did. Be on the guys who do what they did.
The weight of responsibility, if I may respond, Bernard, the weight of responsibility is not pushed onto the media. Please listen to me. In the first statement that you read, and all the ones I've read, we tell you exactly the report we received. In Radio Dagbon, we did not receive a report of alleged assault. We received a report of an assault with a video attached to it. What we did was to tell the public that we have received a report of an assault. In the case of UTV, what our Media Monitoring Center informed us was a report of alleged unauthorized entry into the station. And it is exactly that we told the public. We are not the ones who have introduced the word alleged here. The report we get is a report that we put out there. Number two.
Okay, so there was no video attached. Sorry, there was no video attached to the report for the UTV.
No, I am out of the jurisdiction. The report I got on our platform was that there is the report of alleged unauthorized entry. I said validate it and then let us take the necessary steps. They came back, they said validate it. One word. I said I need to speak to the IGP. I said, IGP, this is the report I've received. You may call the IGP for verification. This is the report I've received. I need you to find out what it is, arrest the person, let
okay. So just to be clear, so as we speak now, what happened is not an alleged unauthorized entry. It was an unauthorized entry and invasion, right?
As we speak now,
yes,
we have that information. As at the time we were dealing with the incident, the report we had is a report that we dealt with and informed the public.
Fair enough.
Now, secondly, we also, and if you go to paragraph 3 of our statement, I noticed that people, I think the GJ wants to skip that and jump to something else. We said the ministry condemns in no uncertain terms any unauthorized entry into media organizations in protest at media content, first of all, or any interference with media work. I think we've been very clear on that matter, that we condemn in no uncertain terms.
But it was not just an unauthorized entry, it was also intimidation and harassment of journalists while they were working.
Condemn it, Bernard, if I have to repeat it, let me repeat it. We condemn it 100%. No equivocation about that.
100%. I'm just
at the time the event was unfolding, the actions we took, the morning after, as we were still trying to get more information, the statement we should even as at now, I'm waiting for an update from the police because today is now Monday at 8:30 in Ghana or so. We are now, as at now, waiting for an update from the police on the kind of investigation and what it is unveiling. But we are the ones who've been at the forefront, reporting to the police, dealing with the station, ensuring that action is taken. I don't believe that we are the ones who should, have guns turned on us that we have not acted. We are the ones who actually took the steps to ensure that those reports were made and took steps to ensure that we sent the communications director of the party to go in there and validate these were our people and go on the station and apologize for what these persons had ostensibly done in our name. So I don't think that we have done anything short of what should be done. We have done the right thing.
Yeah, Kojo, fair enough. I want to just push back and say, maybe the reason this is taking this turn is obviously because of your own track record, because you're a former journalist. So there's a lot of expectation on you now. The statement is being taken apart because, for example, again, you stand with the police and the courts in the conduct of their duties.
Yeah.
You condemn in no uncertain terms what happened, all right? Now, you don't say you stand with UTV or you stand with the program that they do. I'm just putting that out. Okay, hold on. And then you end by encourage. You see, the problem is that when you end by encouraging the media to promote peace, it is a tacit way of saying that the uproar was caused by we've run out of credit. I'll call you back. The uproar was caused by the station's conduct. We'll put Kojo back. We call him on the line from Morocco. So this is the reason why we are pressing this line, and not to make it seem as if we are being difficult by saying that the ministry should have done this or that. He's listed 4 instances of something that has happened in just 2 years. So that tells you that there's a trend established, right? Mm-hmm. So the January 2022, May 2022, what's the next one?
Bernard.
May 2023 and then October 2023. So that's 4 instances. Okay.
No, in actual fact, between January 2017, right, up till now, we've had at least 17 attacks on journalists for doing their work.
January 2017.
Yeah. Up until now, when the Media Foundation for West Africa issued a report recently, we've had at least 17 attacks on journalists. And if
the 4 he listed are specific attacks on media houses. So the characterization is because of, so just to be clear on that. So let me finish. Kojo, thank you. Because you are in Morocco, our credit was moving fast. So we have to top up. Thank you for your patience. I'm just putting this question in terms of not to be nitpicking, but the point is because of your own track record as a prominent journalist before you became information minister, people expect a lot more from you. And number 2, the conclusion of the statement urging the media to do what obviously the media has to do. There's nothing wrong with asking the media to do what you said they should do. But ending the statement with that in the circumstance that they had been attacked, it tacitly suggests that maybe it was because of what they were doing that made the people come and attack them.
No, Bernard, that is not our suggestion at all. Now, let me go back to the first point that we should say we stand with UTV. We stand 100% with UTV because if we didn't, we will not be the ones to call the police. This is an instance in which the Minister of Information is the one who called the IGP that there's something going on here. I need you to move in and contain it. This is the instance in which the Minister of Information is the one who called UTV management and said, this is the report we have received. We have called police, but I want you to lodge a report at the Tesano police station. This is the instance in which the Minister of Information is the one who calls the journalist and finds out whether herself and her panelists have been physically harmed or attacked in any way, and if there's any support that we can make available to them. So I think the evidence is clear. We may not have put it in text in the statement, but the evidence is clear that we stand with UTV, we stand with the persons who are hosts and panelists on these programs, and we are clear, even in the text of the statement, that press freedom is something that should not be undermined in any way. If you ask anybody, especially because of my personal track record, if you ask anybody, we have been consistent from January 2002, dealing with the police, asking for accountability from the police. That's why I'm mentioning names. You can speak to the CID boss herself. You can speak to the NMC principals about how many times we have consistently been followed, because we stand clearly with journalists, with journalism, with panelists in these instances.
Kojo, the other point is
if
that...
I can answer your question. If I can answer
Okay, I thought you finished, sorry.
No. When we say that, we also go on to encourage the media to do their work and bring cohesion across the country. We are not laying blame at anybody's doorstep. I can understand how some people may want to interpret it in that particular, but I think that if you look at the evidence of everything we have done, people or anybody should not take that last paragraph and then now use that to flip the conversation that it means we are not committed to this. No, I think that the evidence of what we have done from 2022 is clear.
Okay. But even the little trend you showed me in evidence during this interview, it should worry you. January 2022, Radio Brenya. May 2022, January 2022, Ada, Radio Ada. May the same year, Radio Brenya.
Benya.
May 2023, Dagbon FM. October 2023, UTV. That's enough of a trend to concern you that under your jurisdiction, because essentially you are the minister in charge of media, under this government, 4 media houses have been attacked in this way. We haven't even added attacks on journalists. In fact, Media Foundation for West Africa revealed as far back as 2018 that between January 2017 and end 2018, there were 17 journalists attacked in Ghana. This was just in a 1-year period. We haven't updated the list. So why are people getting bolder in attacking media people under your government?
So, Bernard, this is, first of all, something we are very worried about. And we are worried about it because there's a growing level of intolerance that is creeping in our society. If you look at the nature even of political discourse, how bellicose it is becoming, the level of insults and sometimes unfounded attacks, etc., that we are increasingly hurling on each other, the level of tolerance in our political discourse and our democracy is going down. That is why, in addition to the short-term measure, which is to essentially get the police that listen, get involved and deal with this matter right now, extend a hand of support to the specific journalists and the media house that may have been affected by it, and issue a statement condemning it, in addition to the short one. That is why we called all stakeholders to the table and said, how do we address this thing? And we came up with 2 media support programs. One was what we call the Coordinated Mechanism for the Safety of Journalists. And the second was the Media Capacity Enhancement Program. 2 programs to help sanitize the space. On the Coordinated Mechanism of the Safety of Journalists, you will recall we put a framework together, went to Cabinet for a no objection, and in accordance with what the Constitution prescribes, we then handed it over to the National Media Commission to execute. Again, if you recall, the NMC helped us to set up an office at the old NMC premises in the local government enclave, just around Kempinski Hotel. And you will recall when the Citi FM incident occurred with Caleb, it was this office that led the investigation and quickly came up with its recommendations for action. About 2 months ago, in our follow-up exercise, we called the NMC that we have again noted that this office is not functioning. This office that's supposed to execute this framework is not functioning. What is the challenge? What do we do? They informed us that the Small Arms Commission has taken over that office, and so they will need a new office. And again, if you check from the National Media Commission, I have informed them that we have then found a new office space for them where they can go back and start executing from this particular place as a long-term solution, because this is something that is very, very disturbing and worrying to us, and especially because of my personal background, we are keen to ensure that the interventions that the various actors have to come together to support for its full execution.
So, Kojo, thank you. While we do not downplay the efforts that you've mentioned, there is a view that when these press freedom rankings come out and they point to Ghana's deterioration, we are defensive in the way we analyze it, which is part of the reason why we are not able to stop it. Second point is that the language of, and this time I'm going to NPP people, and I'll give you an example. For example, before Ahmed Suale died, the kind of rhetoric that was used by leading members of the NPP on him on a TV station, that kind of rhetoric encourages fanatics within that party to attack media people. And the government doesn't seem to be clamping down on that. In fact, people point as far back as 2017 when hoodlums went to a court to deal with a judge who was sitting on a case in Kumasi. So the thing has become like a culture where if we don't like what he's saying, we go and we show him pepper. And the government doesn't seem to be either addressing that or admitting that properly, which is why the efforts you're putting in place notwithstanding, the trend continues.
So if the Ministry of Information, for example, is not concerned about this, we will not be making the efforts that we are making. I share the view that you expressed that there are political actors who have language that is very unhelpful. In fact, even as of now, when government has unequivocally condemned what has transpired, and government was the one to call the police, that's why I've given you evidence, to intervene. You still have persons in the corridors of power on their personal handles tweeting support for this kind of behavior. And you would expect that the party calls such persons, if they are party officials, to order, and their superiors, if they are government functionaries, call them to order. But for us as a Ministry of Information responsible for this, that's why I've given you evidence of everything that we have done, from police CID to NMC to the stations themselves, to work to contain this. I believe what we need to do is to collaborate as stakeholders. That's why I was a bit, disappointed in the angle that the GJA chose to go with. Because at every point in time, we have been inviting the GJA that let us work together, GJA, Prempag, Giba, NMC, that let us work together. And in an incident like this, my expectation is that we will then have a united voice to call out the people who are doing these excesses, including if there are people in government who are making comments that are unsavory and unsupportive. We have to jointly do that. And it is in our ability to do that and ensure that the law enforcement agencies succeed in prosecuting and punishing these people that will be able to nip these issues.
Just a final point. From what you've just said, it's very clear we admit that within the political party NPP and the government, there are differences in how things are done, and we can't control what everybody does. But the fact that our president is a former lawyer with human rights credentials, who made his name speaking to open up the airwaves, if this is happening under his watch, we expect to see more strident condemnation and action from him too. Just like I've said, because you are a former journalist, people expect more from you. I dare say people expect much, much more from this current president and do not expect this type of things to be happening under him. And I wonder if he has taken notice of the trends that we have discussed, and if he is minded to make examples of people, even within his own party, that he will not countenance this type of behavior under him. Failing that, this is going to continue.
The president expects the party to finish its investigation and to use the party structures to call to order any persons who have been involved in this enterprise. I can tell you that the president does not support this kind of behavior and does not even look on unconcerned. He expects the party to put its foot down and be firm in dealing with it. But the government, which the president leads, that's why I've given you evidence of what the government has done. The president's cabinet is the one that gave the no objection to the coordinated mechanism on the safety of journalists. The government which the president leads is the one that handed over this draft, coordinated mechanism to the National Media Commission and has been mobilizing financial support for the National Media Commission for them to execute this. It is the government led by the president that mobilized resources for the media working group to embark on the media capacity enhancement program. So the president's commitment and the government's commitment has been clear. But, Bernard, there are fringe elements in every society. These fringe elements may do some of the instances that I have drawn your attention to. In fact, in all the instances, not even, let's say, politicians per se. Some of them are business people, some of them are, citizens, etc. What you need in that instance is that the law enforcement agencies must bite. That is why we don't just issue statements. I personally call the police persons responsible. That I want you, I'm speaking on behalf of the president, I want you to ensure that prosecution takes place. And I don't leave it there. I've called the police that come and give us an account of the prosecution. 3 months ago and just about 2 weeks ago, as I just mentioned to you, they came back that they have got some information on some of the prosecutions. They want to put the rest together and then they'll come. And I've gone further to call the NMC, you can check from the NMC, and the other stakeholders that I have called the CID. They have told me that they will be coming to an end of their compilation shortly so that we can all sit around the table and receive this accountability report from them. So the president's commitment, the government's commitment is quite clear. And I don't think that we should be pointing fingers at each other. We are not the ones who have a problem. The problem is with the fringe elements in society who do this. And those fringe elements in society, we must have a united voice in calling on the police and the courts that we stand with them. They should ensure that the law is applied. We are not going to be fidgeting around it. They should ensure that the law is applied. So then my view is that I think we've been consistent. What we need to do is not to break ranks. We need to put our attention clearly on where now attention needs to be put. That is prosecution and the court. That we stand together with them. We need them to ensure that there's deterrence.
Thank you, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, Information Minister, MP for Afasi Arabi, speaking to us from Morocco.